it that way. And yeah. Okay, this can happen if your magic, if you're just unlucky and or your magic value and the enemy's spirit value are just too bad, so low magic, high spirit. And discovering a spell is a little bit harder than normally drawing it. So there's a lot of theories floating around about how exactly the magic value and the spirit value affect the amount. Okay, so more magic means more stuff drawn. That's pretty simple. But when you draw cast immediately, formulas get really weird and I don't know shit. So in general, just monsters with high spirit are hard to draw, like bosses, and you won't get 9 spells in each draw for a boss, simply because the spirit value is so high that it's good at resisting that. And on the other hand, characters with high magic are better for drawing than low magic characters. Yeah. So I'm just trying to discover the spells again and get myself a few cures. Really a few this time. So I forgot a junction again, which is not exactly that bad, because the most important thing is that all GFs are junctioned to a character in combat, because then they gain HP, and the HP are the really important thing, and they aren't shared per GF. So I have all my GFs junctioned to Squall, not to Quistis, which is not exactly fair, not exactly useful, but it works. If I had forgotten one, that GF would not learn new abilities, and the abilities are the really worth thing you want with your GFs. It's like, fuck the level, I want a GF with good abilities. So losing HP is really you really want to avoid that. Why am I attacking? I wanted to draw. And I feel my voice dying slowly, because I'm doing the rough voice all the time. I told you I'd regret it. Didn't listen to myself. Completely own fault. This sound just sounds really funny. Because the emulator plays it wrong. But well, that's just gotta deal with it. Oh, lucky, we got the spider web again. This is nice. It's not like that's guaranteed or something. It's really a matter of luck. So yeah, magic. Pocket. Now I need to move the spell to her. Would you kindly... Thanks. Okay, the abbreviations are kind of awkward. But hey. So, perfectly fine. Now there's one missing. We have fire. Oh no, we missed lightning, thunder. Damn it. We need one more of the caterpillars. Caterchi whatever pillars. I don't know. Please no. Thanks. I'm really on edge because of that stupid dinosaur now. It's really awkward. You get a thunder, you get a cure. And Squall's kinda low on HP, so I can just show you the difference in draw with what I mentioned, the variance with draw cast. Like just him trying to cure with draw cast. So it's 200 this time, which is actually nice. Now do the same for Quistis, which is not perfectly the same, but I'm relatively sure that the character cast onto does not change the thing. It's nearly the double the value, which is not that clear as I had wished to be, I hope the variance would be even greater, but it works. So usually your spells don't vary by 100% up or 50% down. Just usually doesn't happen. But it's happening with draw, because draw is just really, really unreliable. But it works for spells which you just... Well, usually every character wants the draw command, because it's just useful when you have, like, you have a boss and you see, oh hey, this boss has a really, really good spell. But it's also a really hard boss, so I can't stall the battle for long. Then you can just do one round, every character draw once. Then you have, you know, well, 10 to 20 spells. Huh, ability learned, perfect. And that's, well, at least something. You can merge those onto one character, and one character can use that spell pretty good. But to use that spell you need the magic command. Where do I wanna go? Yes, here. And so that's a second command slot, and you only have 4 of those. Now you can only have 4 commands in at a time, so you might, if you don't want the magic command because you have others that you value, draw cast is at least some form of using magic. So okay, so the a GF gets experience for leveling and AP for learning abilities. So it boost require 10 HP, and we gathered those now, and it's fine. GFs sadly always default to this ability, which is really bad, because it just makes the GF's attack 10% stronger. And like, a GF's attack is not really weak at the beginning of the game. It may be the middle. But it's just not a good investment. Because I don't want to... what's this? Oh my god, that's a really harsh abbreviation. Holy shit. Okay, so there are very many kinds of abilities, like junctions, commands, character value improvements, passive, GF value improvements, passive. This is a GF improvement as well. I'll show you what that does in some time. And this is a menu ability. Those can be used from this point, which is deactivated because we don't have learned any yet. Have not yet learned any. Garden, where are you? Game stop lagging. Perfect. Perfectly, exactly the enemies I look for. So, yeah, and those abilities I'm learning I made the GS learn now, allow me to transform certain items into spells. So I won't run from enemies just to in most times, because I think that's just not cool. And enemies give loot, of course. But I will also, as I said, try not to draw all the time from the enemies. No, I'll do it now a little bit, but 2 rounds is enough. And afterwards I'll just take the loot from the mobs and transform it into items via those abilities. At least I hope this will be enough. And hopefully I can get a fundament of spells that way quick enough. Of course it won't be as quick as drawing, because yeah, well, with drawing you can get the spells exactly when you want and when you know an enemy who has it. But with the items you can sometimes create even stronger spells earlier than you can draw them from enemies. And it just also takes up less game time. Because, for example, there are these little buggers, the little bugs we killed here on the plains. They drop these I think they're called shards. Oh no, M-stone piece, this one. And that's like a very basic item which just you can transform with a given ability into 5 ice, or 5 fire, or 5 thunder, or 5 Q, whatever you want. In one of these items gives 5 of the very low spells. And so, like, yeah, it's a fight. We do that fight in a completely normal fashion. And so the items give us, the enemies give us items. And at some point we say, hey, I'm almost out of cures. So I look into the menu, take my heal spell refinement ability, if I have one, and look, hey, do I have some magic stones or other items I can transform into cure? Then I hopefully will have, and then I can just do that. And it's not like I have to invest much time into drawing or cutting the video to cut out the time when I draw it. Oh, this is the Ultra Waves move, which I talked about with the Berserk and stuff. Yep, quiz is Berserk. No PMS jokes here. Yeah. Just forgot to mention, like I just skipped the text when we left the garden. Quizzes told us something about our basic attack, Squall's Gunblade. Squall, usually a character attacks and then you have, you attack and you maybe hit or maybe not hit. And then you have a chance to also do a critical attack which does double damage. Pretty simple. For Squall this is a little bit different. Squall basically hits all his attacks, but they are relatively weak. So if you compare Quiz's attack to Squall's, yeah, okay, it's not that big of much of a difference because it's early in the game. But Squall's attacks just are relatively are very precise. But you see, this was a different attack, and it also did higher damage. There is a certain span of frames in this animation. If you press the right, it's a bumper, I think. During that frame, then you can force him to crit. That's this fireball attack. It's always fire, no matter what element you put onto his weapon. It's always fire. And it's also not fire elemental, it just looks like that. And yeah, it's basically a crit. So you can force him to crit, and this attack is even more precise. But his crits only do 50% increased damage. So instead of 100% bonus, you get 50% bonus. From 40 to 60. Look, if Quizzes had 40 attacks, she would crit for 80. But for her, you need to rely on luck. And this is very nice because there is this status effect called blind, and it makes a character's hit ratio go like into the deepest bottom of Mariana Trench. And if Squall is blinded and you do not press R1, then of course his attacks will also very often miss. But if you reliably hit that R1 button, then you can still, an attack that would usually crit would miss because of blind, but because you pressed F1 it would crit, so it just defaults to, well, it at least hits with a normal hit, so with a weak one, as if you had not pressed R1 but would not have been blinded. I hope that was understandable. So basically Squall does not lose hit chance by being blinded, but he loses attack, and also his hit chance, funny that it's visible here, is 255%, which is the maximum that you can store in 8 bits of data, so it's the maximum value a stat can have, like for strength and magic as well. I know. So yeah, this right trigger R1 on the PlayStation, that's just his trigger. Like it's a gunblade. It probably means, hey, I'm just cutting you and now I'm putting a bullet right into you right when I cut you. Completely retarded, would never work in real life, but it's a game. So yeah, so it's called fantasy. So we can do that here. And it's increasing damage, so I won't ask. Okay, so now we're in the Fire Grotto. And this is a little pre-exam. And we are to gain GF. So there are many different ways to receive GFs. I think there's basically 2. And we're gonna see one of them in this grotto. And yeah. The thing is, at the end of the seed exam, the real seed exam, we are gonna get a score. And the score will determine our seed level, which determine the cash we get. And this fire grotto also plays a role for that seed score. I'm gonna go with 20 for now, because we are not that strong. Because we did not draw that many spells. It's very funny. There is a base value of points you get in the system. I read up on that, so it's not like you get an explanation. Based on how many, what time you choose. Like, I think it's, of course, lower is better. And then of this base value, there is a... Sorry, I was a little bit quick on that text. Sorry. Yeah. Fistus seems to be kinda nervous. And Squall's just... Don't fuck with me, lady. Yeah. And yeah, from this base value you get from selecting your time, there is a second value subtracted, and the second value depends on how much time you have left. So if you like, if you select 40, and for some stupid reason you actually need 39 of those minutes, so you have 1 minute left, you will probably end with a better score for this part of the exam than someone who chooses 30 minutes and finishes after 5 minutes with 25 left. It also the creepy yellowhead instructors also told you try to estimate, not too much, not too low, because of course if your time runs out you fail. So I'm gonna use summon, Shiva summon, of course, you know that from if you know Final Fantasy. I'm gonna use that relatively often because my character stats are not that good, because I did not draw that many spells. Because that animation just takes a lot of time, I chose 20. You can do it in 10 if you have like if you have leveled a little bit, have some junction abilities, have 100 of the spells, then you can easily with a special spam technique go through here with 5 or 6 minutes. That's completely possible. But well, it's a let's play. I don't play here to force myself, yes. So I'm here to have fun with you, and I hope you are here to have fun too. So let's just do it. Yeah, relaxed. So that enemy was a real joke, because you saw, gave no HP, nearly no HP, and went down with 1 hit. But you might be surprised when you... the only special thing about that mob in this early stage of game is that you can draw all 4 basic spells from him. Later in the game, however, on the really high level, they might reappear in some of the areas, and they'll be really heavy, because by then they are really strong magic casters, and they can cast spells like death and confuse, like really nasty stuff. But they still die really fast. But that's the only thing that stays the same. They just grow up really heavy, nastily. So yeah, I think summoning would be even faster here. Good thing is that the combat itself is not that hard. It just takes a bunch of time. In general, fighting in Final Fantasy VIII is, has a relatively big overhead for the starting animation, with people unsheath their weapons, and of course the victory screen, all 3 of the all three of the screens for XP, item and AP. No wait, it's characters, items and GF. So yeah, there was a fire grotto. This is already the final screen. It's not that big, of course. You can only go so far in 10 minutes, no, of course. So yeah, more trash. Like, these are probably the weakest enemies in the game. Through all levels. So, I think the only thing they are useful for on later levels maybe is you can draw leech of them, so life leeching spell, which you can then junction onto your weapon, so your basic attacks will leech life. Which is really fun with a high strength character. Because you just go, okay, here, high HP, high strength, and if I have high HP, I just attack. And you can just spam your attack and not die. Okay, so yeah, we are here surprisingly early. And yeah, let's look how this boss will go and just, yeah. So this is our boss. Those who know the Final Fantasy series probably know what he's called. It's Ifrit, of course. Yeah, and if you haven't guessed, it's fire theme. So we have 14 minutes to waste. So I won't waste complete 14 minutes. I did it once to really go here with 20 minutes, then rush to the boss, and then just waste time. But it's good to know how much HP he goes. We're weak against ice. There you see also his stats. The high HP is a usual stat for bosses because characters have high attack and it would be boring otherwise. The high spirit is a little funny, so we're not gonna use use any spells against him. But also we only have fire, so why would we even? The nice thing is that he has Cure to draw, so we can draw, cast, Cure, which allows us to just heal whenever we need. And we probably will need the healing because he's actually relatively strong for a first boss. So for example, if I compare him to the first. Yeah, if I compare him to the Scorpion of Final Fantasy VII, like, okay, the Scorpion of Final Fantasy VII has a stupid laser phase where if you attack him, you get this really strong laser counter attack. But it's not like Barrett explains it to you in lengthy detail and... Oh, we made him angry. And yeah, he got this phase. And you cannot dodge that phase. It's just, he goes below a certain amount of HP and then he grows angry. And we can of course hurry as soon as you get to that point, but hurrying is not the point. So I think if we really tried, we could have even done this in 10 minutes, which is kinda sad because now I'm not sure what to do. Wait or just finish. Okay, never mind. We still have a little bit to go. We'll just use Shiva and look what it does. Like, okay, it does damage, but I wanna know how much. Bob. There you could see Shiva's HP drop. And if you remembered Squall's HP he had before summoning, he'll have the same after summoning, of course. So yeah, the 1000 HP, let's say you leveled a little bit, so you'll have 1500 or 2000. That's like 2 or 3 special attacks from Squall. Then he's finished, if you have Strength Junction. So this boss in 1.5 minutes would be easy if you were properly prepared, which I am not. So yeah, Shiva takes about half a minute and takes out a quarter of his HP. So if we had really been serious from the very start, we could have maybe finished in 10 minutes. But I don't feel like it. I'm just gonna tickle him a little bit more. Oh, I think he's gonna... Oh, I think he's going low. Oh, I think we killed him. Oh no, we didn't kill him. I think he's going low though. He's tumbling when I hit him. It's a little bit complicated because bosses really have different animations for being hit, depending on how high the percentage of life is left. However, when Squall attacks, this always counts as a crit. So there will always be the animation for being hit by a critical attack will play, and so you can trust that. Oh, body check again. But when you see Quiz's attack, 400, so it's 350. Both can attack twice, I think. Oh. So yeah, I don't give a fuck. The starting seed level isn't actually that important because it's not. You don't need money that much in this game than you need it in other Final Fantasies of this era. Like in general, in most Final Fantasies you have this. I need to buy equipment in every new town and stuff like that. Final Fantasy 8 doesn't have that, and you don't need money that much. So that's why, for example, enemies don't drop cash. You just get your salary based on steps you traveled when you are a seed, and you of course may sell items and stuff. But the general amount of cash that's going in and out is much lower than in other games. So yeah, he was a boss. We don't receive any XP. Which is actually very fair, because when bosses give XP, you always have this problem that characters who are dead at the end of a boss fight have a really EXP level disadvantage. We get loot, G-Returner, revival for a GF, it's like one of the most useless items ever. And Ifrit's playing card and 20 HP. Bosses give a real ton of AP, like real tons. And we of course may name on GF. And this is the end of the timer. Despite Quist is saying, oh, we don't have much time. Actually, we have lots of time at this point. Because somehow Ifrit sent a WhatsApp or something to the examiner, say, oh, I'm dead. And yeah. What Quist? So we have a third GF. And we have new abilities to learn, so I'll just go... we don't need this yet. We'll go with the junctions now. Simply because we can now have all we need for the boring combination. No, I want this one. Ah, I didn't show you boost. Oh, stupid me. Well, it's not like it's gonna run. So Ifrit is the first GF we get with elemental junctions, which are on page 2 of the junction menu here. Oh wait, I might wanna junction Ifrit first. This won't work otherwise. Attack maximum, Babs. Okay, so here, and well, yeah, you slot an elemental spell in here, and then your attack has a certain percentage of an element. Only one element at a time. That's a rule. And for example, if Squall now has 6% ice damage in his weapon, so it's like he probably put an ice cube on it for 2 seconds, and yeah. Anyway, when we're facing ice, enemies which are weak against ice attacks, with 100% weakness, then he will do 6% more damage. And if we have an enemy who is immune against ice, those 6% of his attack damage will vanish because they're ice elemental and are reduced to nothing. But we still have 94% of physical damage, which is not negated. So he does 94% of damage. Pretty simple until you have enemies which have partial resistances, which are not indicated in general, but I think there are some of them, like an enemy